the State of the Nation address by President William Ruto. MPs and senators debated it today. It was given on Thursday, and was it the true picture of what Kenyans are going through? Tonight we have divergent opinions. Some feel that it was representative of what we are going through. Some feel, no, this is not it. The president simply glossed over important matters. To look into this tonight, we have Nick Mwadime Mwangi, who is in studio with me. He is the National Executive Director, KUSA. Thank you so much, Nick, for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Glad to be here.
Okay, thank you. And joining me virtually is Professor Fred Ogola, who is a strategy and governance expert. Prof, good evening and welcome to KUTV tonight. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. It's nice to be here. I look forward to hearing from you what is the state of the nation on this, but of course I have something to tell you.
Okay, I can't wait for that. Just starting on that note, Prof, when you wait for the state of the nation, you expect something solid, something that is explanatory. Is this what you got from the speech that President Ruto gave, the first one of its kind for him since he became president?
Not really, because the nation was expecting something to change. I was on studio that day in another station, and people gave their expectations. People expected the cost of living to be brought down. People expected to mention the issue of security, which is happening in Sondu area, among other parts of the country. People expected the president to pronounce himself on the matters of education, health of people, and actually not say, I will, but that this is happening. But the speech was more of, again, promises. There was just a spree of promises. And the president has been known to be very good with giving promises that Kenyans want to hear, but not really delivering on them. So I think that it was underwhelming. But to be just to him, there was one thing that for me I picked, that if at all the president was serious about it, is the main thing that can solve the whole issue. He says that we need to pull together. You know, when the president says we need to pull together, for me, pulling together could mean that he realizes that whatever he was trying to do alone, he can't do it. And then he also discovered the people within Kenya Kwanza, who are his cabinet, cannot help him to deliver his promises. So pulling together means you need the support of the private sector, the support of the civil society, the support of religious organizations, the support of the youth, the support of women, the support of professionals in Kenya, among other people. So that for me, if he goes to go on to explain, from the private sector, I want you to help me this way so that I can pull together. From the public sector, help me that way. Religious organizations, civil society, youth, women, among other members of society, requesting them to pull together, and pull together how? Because if I tell you to pull together, I have to tell you how you should pull together and which direction.
Mm-hmm.
If the president takes that seriously, that should be the only thing that will have found fundamental. But the rest of it, there were just some other inconsistencies. For example, I was taking with a serious concern when he said that there is a border person who has borrowed 740,000 shillings.
Mm-hmm.
And that border was mentioned. I said there's somebody who has borrowed over 1 million shillings in those few days. I was just looking at those figures and I realized that that was impossible, because it looks like that person was borrowing something like over 25,000 shillings 2.5 times per day.
Okay.
For 3 months and 6. So I was just realizing there's some inconsistencies, because if a border can borrow 745,000, then why are they actually doing border? Because some of us, no matter how silly, we might not qualify. So there were truth about his statements, there were inconsistencies, there were things that can take us forward, but also there are some things which are underwhelming. So that's the objective measure of which was all about.
Yeah, sure, Prof. I know it seems like you are very good with numbers, because even yesterday during the tree planting exercise, I saw you punching some numbers to do with the amount spent by CSS to fly planting trees. But that's not the topic of debate tonight. I want to give the same chance to you, Nick.
Yes.
Professor says it was largely underwhelming in his own assessment. From your side, did the president address the things you think should be addressed in a state of the nation?
Thank you so much, Dennis. To me, it was a very sad moment because the president, again, he has failed to address issues that really matters to Kenyans. This evening, we cannot tell clearly where we are at as a country because the poverty level is still going higher. We cannot address the cost of the living. We cannot address the cost of fuel. We cannot still address the cost of unga. We've recently seen blackouts in this country up to 3 hours. So these are some of the things that the president is playing hide and seek with Kenyans. And the speech, as Prof is saying, again, in my view, the president is still in campaign mode. We have seen that the speeches are still incontinuous, talking about what he will do, what he plans to do, and what he has done figuratively. And it is a very state. I want to agree with ODM chairperson John Mbadi that he is still selling false hope to Kenyans. Kenyans day by day are getting irritable, are getting impatient because we cannot see where we are going as a country. So many lives are not accountable by how we are feeding as a nation.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Prof, let me just come back to you. People are saying, you said, Nick has said here, that the president sounds like somebody who is still in campaign mode. He should not be selling hope to Kenyans. But don't you think that it is the duty of him as a leader, as the president, to give Kenyans the belief that we are actually in the right trajectory?
You see, I launched a book called Solomonic Economics, and one of the things is that this is the path to world class for Kenya. I use it in knowledge-based economy. And in that book, I say that world class performance begins with what's called objective reality. You must be sure where you are and be objectively so. So when the president says that we have made progress, everybody knows today, 14th of November 2023, if you go back 1 year from today, which is November 2022, Kenya's life could have been better than what it is today. And everyone says today life is harder than it was the same date last year. So if he says we have made progress and have stabilized the economy cannot stabilize when the Kenya shilling move from something like 115 to 155. Economy cannot stabilize when the fuel has crossed the 200 mark and now is almost hitting 130. And now when he says that, or 230, and now when they say that the fuel can actually hit 300, that is not a symbol of what's called a stable economy. Honesty is put here. Fuel lands in Mombasa at 90 shillings per liter. Now they're selling it at something like 217. Where is all that money going? So there are so many things the president here to tell Kenyans the truth, because there's no need of campaigning. That's why it's called campaign speech. There is no need of campaigning because you're the president. For the next 4 years, you'll be in that state house. Why don't we just tell Kenyans exactly where we are and where you will take us from that hole? According to me, there was no honesty. In fact, if you have a duty to tell Kenyans where they are going, be honest to them and tell them where they are going. Now, they talk about the G2G oil deal, where we know the government is completely inefficient. And when the government is inefficient and they try to do business in another country, inefficiencies in government will make the deals become inefficient, therefore expensive. And that's why the oil expensive in Kenya. Other countries, oil has declined. For us, we are being told that it's going up and it's going to up because of the global market, and that's not true. So what I'm trying to say is that the president needs to tell Kenyans one, and I can tell you this honestly, give so that you can take. If you give, you can be able to take from people. For example, if you give Kenyans 10 billion shillings in their pocket today, that money actually will be collected by you. But if you only want to take and you don't want to give, you suffocate the economy and you suffocate Kenyans.
Okay, Prof, I know we are about to go for a break and I also want to release you. But before that, when you talk about honesty, don't you think the president is being honest when he says there was COVID-19? The president is being honest when he says there is a war in Ukraine, there is a war in Gaza. There are all these things, global pressures, global factors that interfere with the supply chain and make all this cost of living thing go up. Is he being honest when he's quoting and citing all these challenges?
Maybe we can even go back by saying when Uhuru Kenyatta said there was COVID and he said COVID is not because he said that they were what they call the people who are trying to play with the oil prices. But I can cartels, they call them cartels, but let's not go there. The point I'm trying to talk about is that there was COVID, yes, but during COVID, where Kenyans were locked in their houses, not movement, the oil did not go that level. So what is it that is taking us here? So there was COVID, yes, there's war in Gaza, there was the issue of Russia and Ukraine. But are there the reasons why Kenya is having this challenge? Why is Ugandan oil cheaper? Why Tanzania oil cheaper? So the main problem is internal, it is not external, because in economics we talk about systemic problem. Systemic problem should affect all countries, 180 countries in the world should be affected. Mm-hmm. But if it's only affecting Kenya, then there is an internal problem here. Mm-hmm. So according to me, honesty, he has to show the correlation between this and this. In yesterday's press statement, I gave people I gave them a formula, how you can bring the price of unga to 105 per 2 kgs. I was able to come with a formula on how to bring the oil prices, the fuel prices, from 117 to 120. So it is possible to do it with an economic formula, but we cannot use faith and the rest. But the president can address the state of the nation as a duty because he has to do it. But if he has not concentrated Kenyans, I think the president needs to be given advice by professionals in economics like us who will tell him how he can fix the economy, but the gap around him cannot help him. So that's my main statement, and thank you very much, my brother, for having me here today.
All right, Prof, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We take a short break. We'll be right back in a